Hi everybody, I'm Ryan. Today we're going to look at the standard metagame. We're going to look at the top decks, the distribution of the overall metagame, and in the top 8 metagame. There are 3 important tournaments in the time period that we're looking at in the past week. There was a super qualifier and 2 challenges, so the sample size is pretty large this time around. And figure out what the most successful decks are and the most popular decks are. So let's jump into it. The standard metagame frankly looks a lot like we were expecting, I think. The most popular deck this past weekend is Esper Midrange, which I guess is a little bit surprising. Seeing as Esper Midrange fell off a little bit, is still considered one of the most powerful decks, but it being the most popular deck above Grixis is kind of interesting. Remember, this is from 5-0 league lists, 4-0 prelim lists, and premier event top 32s. So these are like winning-ish deck lists. And the second most popular deck is tied between Mono White Midrange and Grixis Midrange. Now, these are all grind out your opponent, play extremely powerful cards that get you value decks. And that's the name of the game in Standard right now, so it makes sense that these are the decks that people are choosing. So let's check out this Esper Midrange deck. Esper Midrange is one of the more creature-heavy midrange decks. It plays really, really valuable creatures, a lot of different legendary creatures that you can then protect with Plaza of Heroes. This is almost like a tempo control deck because you're trying to ride on the back of cards like Rafine or Shieldred while you're trying to stop what your opponent is doing and control what your opponent is doing, while you play just way more powerful creatures than them. And of course, the insanely powerful enchantment Wedding Announcement. The Grixis midrange deck, which is currently the deck that I'm playing, plays a lot less creatures, is more of a control deck, is about 1-for-1ing with our opponent, and then gaining a bunch of advantage with cards like Invoke Despair and Fable of the Mirror Breaker. And even the creatures, rather than just being insanely powerful among themselves, are cards that either get us card advantage like Corpse Appraiser, some versions are even playing Wandering Mind, or are removal spells and filter draws in and of themselves like Blood Tithe Harvester. And then Mono White Midrange, which is my partner Sophie's favorite deck, relies more heavily on the enchantments and the planeswalkers, but is again all about getting huge advantage with their white's extremely efficient removal spells, be able to draw cards off Reckoner Bankbuster, get giant advantages off of their enchantments like Wedding Announcement and Restoration of Aganjo, and play creatures that get them advantage, just like Grixis Midrange, except much more consistent in their mana base. So that's the overall metagame, but let's look at the top 8 metagame. What decks actually made it into the top 8 of these 3 big tournaments this past week? Frankly, looks a lot like the overall metagame. Top 8 metagame at the very top with 20.8% is Esper Midrange and Grixis Midrange sharing the top spot. And then in third place is Mono White Midrange. So the top 3 remains the same. Grixis catching up to Esper when we look at top 8s, even though Esper had a little bit more decks making the attempt. So if quick videos like these metagame things are helpful for you, please be sure to like and subscribe. I do one every week on a different format. If you think I should analyze these metagames in any different ways, please give me those ideas in the comments. I would really appreciate it. But you should check me out on social medias, especially Discord, Twitter, and Twitch, which I stream. I try to every day, as long as life doesn't happen. I have 3 kids. But in any case, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.